Chapter 21. Buddhism presupposes a very mild climate, customs of great gentleness and liberality, and the absence of militarism. Moreover, the movement had to originate among the higher and even the scholarly classes. Cheerfulness, calm, and freedom from desire are the highest goal, and the goal is attained. Buddhism is not a religion in which one merely aspires to perfection. Perfection is the normal case. In Christianity, the instincts of the subjugated and oppressed come to the fore. Here the lowest classes seek their salvation. The casuistry of sin, self-criticism, the inquisition of the conscience are pursued as a pastime, as a remedy for boredom. The emotional reaction to one who has power, called God, is constantly sustained by means of prayer. And what is highest is considered unattainable, a gift, grace. Public acts are precluded. The hiding place, the darkened room, is Christian. The body is despised. Hygiene repudiated as sensuality. The church even opposes cleanliness. The first Christian measure after the expulsion of the Moors was the closing of the public baths, of which there were 270 in Cordoba alone. Christian, too, is a certain sense of cruelty against oneself and against others, hatred of all who think differently, the will to persecute. Gloomy and exciting conceptions predominate. The most highly desired states, designated with the highest names, are epileptoid. The diet is so chosen as to favor morbid phenomena and overstimulate the nerves. Christian, too, is mortal enmity against the lords of the earth, against the noble, along with a sly, secret rivalry. One leaves them the body, one wants only the soul. Christian, finally, is the hatred of the spirit, of pride, courage, freedom, liberty of the spirit. Christian is the hatred of the senses, of joy in the senses, of joy itself. Chapter 22. When Christianity left its native soil, the lowest classes, the underworld of the ancient world, when it began to seek power among barbarian peoples, it was no longer confronted with weary men, but with inwardly brutalized, cruel people, strong but bungled men. Here, dissatisfaction with oneself, suffering from oneself, are not due to an excessive sensitivity and susceptibility to pain as among the Buddhists, but on the contrary, to an overpowering desire to inflict pain and to find an outlet for inattentions in hostile acts and ideas. Christianity needed barbaric concepts and values to become master over barbarians. For example, the sacrifice of the firstborn, the drinking of blood in the Lord's Supper, the contempt for the spirit and for culture, torture in all its forms, both sensuous and not sensuous, and the great pomp of the cult. Buddhism is a religion for late men, for gracious and gentle races who have become over-spiritual and excessively susceptible to pain. Europe is far from ripe for it. It is a way of leading them back to peace and cheerfulness, to a diet for the spirit and a certain inuring of the body. Christianity would become master over beasts of prey. Its method is to make them sick. Enfeeblement is the Christian recipe for taming, for civilizing. Buddhism is a religion for the end and the weariness of civilization. Christianity finds no civilization as yet. Under certain circumstances, it might lay the foundation for one. Chapter 23. Buddhism, I repeat, is 100 times colder, more truthful, more objective. It is no longer confronted with the need to make suffering and the susceptibility to pain respectable by interpreting them in terms of sin. It simply says what it thinks. I suffer. To the barbarian, however, suffering is Suffering as such is not respectable. He requires an exegesis before he will admit to himself that he is suffering. His instinct would sooner direct him to deny his suffering and bear it in silence. Here the word devil was a blessing. Man had an overpowering and terrible enemy. Man need not be ashamed of suffering at the hands of such an enemy. At the bottom of Christianity, there are some subtleties that belong to the Orient. Above all, it knows that it is a matter of complete indifference whether something is true, while it is of the utmost importance whether it is believed to be true. Truth and the faith that something is true. Two completely separate realms of interest, almost diametrically opposite realms. They are reached by utterly different paths. Having knowledge of this, that is almost the definition of the wise man in the Orient. The Brahmins understand this. Plato understands this, and so does every student of esoteric wisdom. If, for example, it makes men happy to believe that they have been redeemed from sin, it is not necessary as a condition for this that man is in fact sinful, but merely that he feels sinful. And if faith is quite generally needed above all, then reason, knowledge, and inquiry must be discredited. The way to truth becomes the forbidden way. Strong hope is a far more powerful stimulant of life than any single realization of happiness could ever be. Those who suffer must be sustained by a hope that can never be contradicted by any reality or be disposed of by any fulfillment. A hope for the beyond. Precisely because of its ability to give the unfortunate in continual suspense, the Greeks considered hope the evil of evils, the truly insidious evil. It remained behind in the barrel of evils. To make love possible, God must be a person. To permit the lowest instincts to participate, God must be young. To excite the ardor of the females, a beautiful saint must be placed in the foreground, and to excite that of the men, a Mary, presupposing all along that Christianity wants to become master on soil where some aphrodisiac or Adonis cult has already established the general conception of a cult. The requirement of chastity strengthens the vehemence and inwardliness of the religious instinct. It makes the cult warmer, more enthusiastic, more soulful. Love is the state in which man sees things most decidedly as they are not. The power of illusion is at its peak here, as is the power to sweeten and transfigure. In love, man endures more. Man bears everything. A religion had to be invented in which one could love. What is worst in life is thus overcome. It is not even seen anymore. So much for the three Christian virtues: faith, love, hope. I call them the three Christian shrewdnesses. Buddhism is too late, too positivistic to be shrewd in this way.